Tampa, Florida, January 28th, 29th, and 30th. Wrestle Reunion. One of the key matches is going to be the tag team war of all time. It will be the Rock and Roll Express and their partners, the Fantastics, four of the greatest tag team wrestlers in history, against the Midnight Express, Stan Lane, Dennis Condrey, beautiful Bobby Eaton, a feud that has gone all over the world. But guys, it's three of you against four of them. You guys were able to choose any partner that you wanted, and I understand now today we've been informed that James Cornette, your manager, has said that he is going to be the guy. He's insisted.
That's exactly right. The greatest 8-man in tag team history. You took the words right out of my mouth, Bill Apter. 25 years in the making. This will be the first time that us three have ever been in the ring together wrestling. But besides that, on top of that, the creme de la creme, the icing on the cake, Bill Apter, will be the fact that Jim Cornette is in intensive training right now as we speak, and he will be in our corner. It will be the four of us.
But he can't wrestle, Jim Cornette.
Oh, don't kid yourself. This guy's been taking martial arts for the past 5 years. Kung Fu, karate,
with a tennis racket
from Wimbledon. This guy is ready to go. Fantastics, rock and roll. Your days are numbered. It's been a long time we waited for this. The fans have waited for this, and I know Bobby and I know Loverboy Dennis can't wait to get down there to Tampa.
History in the making, baby. This is it, boys. It's time for this to get over with. This has been going on far too long. I'll tell you one thing. When we get there, it's going to be settled once and for all in Tampa, Florida. I guarantee it.
Bobby Eaton?
You heard what they said.
Be there as history is made at Wrestle Reunion, January 28th, 29th, and 30th. James E. Cornette is going to be wrestling in the ring as the partner to the Midnight Express.
You see Jim's tights, you're going to
Hello, peeps and peepettes, and welcome back to the Secluded Paradyme number 10, featuring the Midnight Express. And before I went away right there so I could show you the clip, I was discussing the second formation of the Midnight Express, the trio, when it went from a group of wrestlers in the first version into now a legitimate tag team with a legitimate manager backing them. I'm talking about the trio of beautiful Bobby Eaton, Dennis Condrey, and James E. Cornette, aka Jim Cornette. And, you know, from their time in Mid-South wrestling, becoming Mid-South Tag Team Champions, and then going on the World Class Championship Wrestling, getting that international fame for the first time through international syndication, having a short feud with the Fantastics, but not necessarily going any further after WCCW was really at a stalemate in terms of their product. The Midnight Express, the second formation, made a very calculated decision and decided to sign with Jim Crockett Promotions in 1985. And it was the first time that they received national exposure. Now, for you fans out there who might not be familiar with Jim Crockett Promotions, it was a territory-based company in the Mid-Atlantic area, specifically around Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, and occasionally it would stretch through Maryland. Not a lot, but around the Baltimore area they would go around there sometimes. But that's neither here or there. The big prize of Jim Crockett Promotions that a lot of the territorial companies wanted at the time was national exposure, and that's what Jim Crockett had with WTBS. Of course, the Turner Broadcasting System. That channel, which was on channel number 17, you could see it throughout the country on cable, and you even had it through syndication if you really knew where to go to get it. It was a massive phenomenon during the 1980s. If you had that, or if you had any other major networks like an NBC or CBS or whatnot, the big national companies, you were something big. And this was the first time really in pro wrestling where you had a national company, really a regional company that was pretty much a national company overnight, because they acquired the rights in 1985 from Vince McMahon. Not many people know that, because Vince, remember, bought the slot in 1984, but in 1985, Jim Crockett Promotions purchased that slot, and thus you had pretty much a national promotion out of that. And the Midnight Express made the calculated decision to actually go there. It was a great move by them because they came just at the right time. Now, this was a point in tag team wrestling in the NWA where the Briscoes were gone. Rick Steamboat and Jay Youngblood were gone. Dick Slater and Dirty Dick Slater and his longtime tag team partner around 1984, Cowboy Bob Orton, he had left for the WWE. So you really had a fresh scene of tag teams in the NWA. The Rock and Roll Express, Ivan Koloff and Nikita Koloff, and also Crusher Khrushchev to form the Russians. You had the Andersons, this time Ole Anderson and his nephew, I believe that's right, Arn Anderson, also there. You just had an influx of a lot of great tag teams that were basically replaced a lot of the previous pretty decent and really good tag teams that were involved at the time. And the Midnight Express came in, and also who came in were the Road Warriors. They also showed up from the AWA. So you had a plethora of just tremendous tag teams in the mid-1980s that came into the National Wrestling Alliance, and Midnight Express, like as I mentioned, was one of them. But to fast forward a little bit, they made just a tremendous debut in World Championship Wrestling. They had instant credibility with a lot of the fans because Dusty just booked them tremendously. Their gimmick looked so fresh. That was just so impressive about the territorial system. Guys could be wrestling in one area of the country, and not many fans knew about them if you're in another different area of the country, not close to that territory, because you didn't have the influx of the internet, and you didn't have the dirt sheets, but you did have Pro Wrestling Illustrated and The Wrestler and magazines like that were just educating you so well on it, but they were doing it in a kayfabe fashion, so it really didn't hurt business. And when the Midnight Express came in, I suppose some people had some familiarity with Jim Cornette and the Midnight Express of Dennis Condrey and Beautiful Bobby Eaton, because North Carolina, South Carolina, and Virginia, Maryland is fairly close. The Mid-Atlantic region is fairly close to the Mid-South territories and whatnot. So it seems like you'll probably pick something up or you hear something about it, but they came in, they looked extremely fresh. They looked just extraordinary. Bobby Eaton, for his skill set, is just a tremendous athlete and really doesn't get as much credit I think he's deserved in terms of being one of the best tag team wrestlers of all time. And this guy could have easily been a great singles wrestler too. And then you had Dennis Condrey, who comes in with his veteran skill set and his understanding of really how to play the game. And you had Jim Cornette, who is just a mastermind, wonderful talker on the mic, and really got his point across. And that was just tailor-made. All three of those elements were tailor-made for national television. And in February of 1986, the Midnight Express finally made the biggest mark in the world by capturing the NWA's World Tag Team Championship against the current title holders in the in the Rock and Roll Express, the same team they feuded with in the Mid-South area with Bill Watts in 1984. So once again, they're basically replenishing that same old angle that was done in a previous territory and bringing it into another territory, only this time it's on a national level. So it was even bigger. And the Midnight Express held those tag team championships for quite a bit in 1986, and they were even in the Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Cup Tag Team Tournament, in which the Road Warriors won, but the Midnight Express were there, and they had a pretty damn good run in that. And before you knew it, if you really look at TV back at that point in time, after they feuded with the Rock and Roll Express, it was like, all right, what else does this team really have to do? But eventually we find out, and they lose those same titles against the Rock and Roll Express. And not to fast forward a really key element, a lot of the stuff that was going on with the Midnight Express. They also had a really, really good angle going on with Dusty Rhodes and Magnum TA as well. It was like, just brilliant booking all around with the Midnight Express in 1986 by Dusty Rhodes.